What's up, everyone? We are here to talk about a match this past weekend against Phoenix Rising in the desert. We've got an upcoming USL Championship match hosting Colorado Springs, and hopefully the visit of a former goalkeeper for Orange County. Oh, and yeah, we have the start of the US Open Cup as we're recording this in less than 24 hours. We're going to talk about all that and much more. Let's get into this. Welcome to the Show of Champions. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only show dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora. I'm here to take you through this journey as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Helping us out for this episode, first and foremost, we've got the amazing Brad Polanski. Brad, how are we feeling with Orange County? 2 matches, 2 results of 1 point. Not too great, not too bad, but how are you feeling?
You know, honestly, I think both games told 2 completely different but similar stories. And I can't wait to talk about this past Saturday's result because there's a lot to break down.
Perfect. And one other person helping us out for this episode, and that's the newest member of our team. That's Mr. Matt Elder. Matt, similar question. How are you feeling after the first 2 matches of the season for Orange County? Is it time to start getting nervous already?
I don't know about getting nervous yet. I kind of actually agree. I'm kind of thinking about how Brad answered that, and I think that's a good way to put it. Two very different but similar kind of issues, but done in different ways, I suppose. Not too nervous yet, but it's just some little things at the front of the pitch you'd like to be a little better. So, we'll see.
We shall see. Let's get right into the match this past weekend against the much hated Phoenix Rising. Although I don't know if it's as much hated as it was a few years back. First and foremost, what I want to give props to the traveling fans that made their way out to Phoenix. We heard you loud and proud on the stream. The chanting was definitely audible. If you were listening, if you don't know the chants, maybe you don't quite understand what the chants are and that they are Orange County chants. But for those of us in the know that know the specific chants that you all are doing week in and week out, we heard you. We are proud of it. Thank you so much for making that trip and for being loud for the camera to pick up. On pitch results, this match is pretty much the exact opposite of what we saw in the opening match against Las Vegas Lights. Phoenix in this match gets the 1-0 lead in the first half, and it's Orange County that scores an equalizer late into the match to steal a point on the road, which is always sort of the our old friend Alan, who used to be one of our hosts on here. That was his sort of method for success, is 3 points at home, 1 point on the road. You're good to go. Obviously, Orange County was up a man for a good chunk of that period and could not equalize, but somehow we go equal at 10 men and we get the late goal there. Let's talk about this match. Let's talk about the first half first. And let me preface this by saying, I did not watch the match live. I watched it on replay later on. I was given this bleak sort of idea of what this match was. The Orange County just played absolutely horrendous. They didn't deserve a point. That it was not a good match. I saw something a little different than that when I was watching, but I want to hear what you all think. Brad, let's talk about first half first. What were your thoughts on Orange County's performance in the first half? Was it really a horrible performance from this club?
No, I don't think it was a horrible performance. The first half, I think, honestly, made a couple mistakes, but it wasn't as bad as we've ever seen. There's definitely a lot of turnover happening in the midfield in terms of giving the ball away. But it wasn't as bad as, we make it out to be. Not going to talk about the second half. Allowing the goal, I believe it came off an error from the team uh, at the end of the half, killed all momentum. But we were saved by the second yellow red card coming in at the end of the half.
We were saved by that. I mean, that was. Let me ask you, Matt. You've been watching this sport for quite some time now. You've been following Orange County for quite some time. Is that one of the most bonehead moves a player can make? Already being on a yellow and basically standing in front of the ball, basically delaying the restart. What do you think is going on in the Phoenix player's mind in that moment?
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this whole rule. I think it's kind of a cheap way to get a red card, if I'm being honest. I think it's silly of the player. They should know better. I don't know what the briefings are from the refs before the season starts. Hey, we're going to call this more, or that type of thing, or what the briefings are to the refs, I guess. We saw a couple years ago Arsenal got punished for it, and as much as I hate them, I did feel that was true, that or Liverpool, one of the two, but they kept getting yellow cards for this, and then it seems like the refs were then okay, fine, we'll stop calling it. And then so I'm kind of confused sometimes where it's is this still allowed? Is it not allowed? Are we going to give it yellow for it every single time? Can you just kick the ball into the player right away and draw the yellow, which is kind of what Tom did? I mean, I don't know. It's also tough because these players probably were raised doing this. It's something you do that's been allowed for 20 years plus. It's a common thing to do, to step in front of the ball on a free kick. So there's habit there and stuff. So I don't know. I get torn on the whole thing. I do think it's silly to do. I'm probably fine with outlawing it, but we just need to be more consistent and just stay on it. You can't do this beginning of the season. We're going to call it, and then 5 games in, people are tired of seeing it called, and then they stop calling it, right? So that's what I get annoyed with.
Matt, if you know anything about the league and our commentary on it, you're not going to get consistency in the refereeing job.
Well, sure. More of a general thing of just FIFA, right? I think FIFA does these things where they're like this year, right? Oh, we're going to call the keeper on the 6-second rule holding the ball. They've been pretty strong on it. But then if you keep seeing fouls called for it, I feel like they'd let off a little bit, and then it just kind of goes back to normal. It's make up your mind and just make a decision and stay with it,
And we can definitely get into talking about the refs. I'm going to save the second half for that. But I will say, and I know it was the Phoenix broadcasters, I believe, or the Phoenix team that was on the call for this, but I think they did mention that this is sort of an emphasis for the league this year, is to penalize players for delaying the restart, similar to this. This is something where you have to know that this is what's happening this year. And as a player on a yellow card, you have to know, hey, maybe you tell your teammate, hey, you stand up here. I'm going to back off because it's not worth it for me to get a second yellow. I will agree with you, Matt, because I've seen things like this similar in baseball and in NBA where they're making these calls very strictly early on in the season. And then by midway in the season, it's back to the old way. So I just don't want to see that happening. Let's give props where we have to give props. The goal from Phoenix, that was a really nice shot on target. Maybe you can argue that someone should have got their body in the way because it is from far out, but it was a blast. And to keep that blast low enough to challenge and get past the goalkeeper, there's some skill there. So props to, I forget who it was from Phoenix that got that goal, but props to them because it was a nice shot. I mean, if it was an Orange County player, it would definitely be an early candidate for goal of the year, right, Brad?
Yeah, agreed 100%.
So let me ask you this, Brad. 1-0 at halftime. Is that the correct score line from what you saw in this match? Should it have been worse? Should have Orange County equalized at some point in that first half with some of their opportunities, like the very last opportunity from, I believe it was Lyle McKinnon after the red card, almost equalizing before we went to halftime? Was 1-0 the accurate score line that you feel was there?
Yeah, I do feel like it was accurate. I do think, we continue to see the issues that we've had in seasons past where the finishing's just not there. But you're right. It was an absolute banger of a goal from Phoenix to give them the lead at half. So I'm not upset with that. I just think Orange County did not make the most of the opportunities that they should have in that half.
What about you, Matt? Do you agree that with Brad that scoreline seems to be pretty accurate of the action on the pitch for that first half?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think because the Jameer is on the Johnson breakaway. That's in the second half, right? That's the start of the second half.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure to go into this now or to wait until the second half, I guess. But like, I feel like we're having a different conversation if a couple slight things are different, right? The Liam, isn't called offside, which was marginal. Who knows if he was or wasn't? No VAR, whatever. But I think on balance, it was a good first half. It looked like a kind of a back and forth game. Maybe they slightly edged it for me, but I think we had a couple chances and we were doing okay. I will disagree. I'm not calling that a banger. That's not a banger. That's
all right.
It's a good goal.
We'll go right into the second half, and you sort of started talking about it with Jameer Johnson, his opportunity early on in the second half on a nice feed from Chris Hagart. He just couldn't get it onto his strong foot, to his right foot, because there wasn't any time. It was a bang play for him. As a 17-year-old, to be able to know the time that he has available and at least get a shot off that looked troublesome. I mean, wasn't that far off for what he had to do. I believe it was with his left foot trying to travel it into the bottom right corner of the net. That's not an easy skill move to do with your off foot. But it showed that Orange County was here to fight back. I don't think at that point you're like, man, we deserve to totally lose this where we haven't been doing anything. Obviously there's struggles, but I mean, you have opportunities like that opportunity and more as you go through this match. I will say there was a 15-minute span in the second half where Orange County was maybe not looking great, but second half we go, we see the debut and then the pretty quick double yellow card of our newest player in the back line. We see the season debut for Pedro Guimaraes. We see, what else did we see? We saw the season and the team debut for Bradbury, I believe is his last name, or Bunbury. Yeah. Some new pieces coming in here. Some tinkering of the roster. What were your thoughts of the second half, Brad? I mean, did we deserve to get that equalizer late in the match, or was that more of it was luck?
I wouldn't say it's luck. Definitely, the goal's solid. Super happy we got it. But look, just as we were saying in the first game, we need to make chances and capitalize on them. We didn't capitalize on being up a man the entire second half. It was 40-something minutes, and I don't even think the Jameer Johnson chance that we had that half was even a shot on target. I don't think we had a shot on target the second half up until the eventual goal from Benalcazar. Excuse me there. However, with that said, I'm definitely proud of the 10 minutes that happened around that goal and the 5 minutes, after the goal with the really long extended time that they had there. 100%, the team looked like they were threatening for a second. And I think that's what we've been lacking the entire other 95 minutes of that game.
Yeah, intensity goes a long way. If you're playing some intense soccer, it can go either way, but at least you, as a fan, you could say, hey, they're at least giving effort out there. They're fighting hard. They're showing intensity. You definitely don't want to see a team that just looks like they're out there just in the motions, just jogging around. You want to see your players fighting for the opportunity there. Matt, I want to ask you this, because you mentioned consistency from the calls on, in the season and in the match. I want to ask you about this, and maybe I'm the only one that is remembering this as a very big discrepancy. There was a moment in the second half where a player from Phoenix basically just runs through Mowar as they're fighting for the ball, no call. And then about a minute later, I can't remember who it was from Orange County, runs through a Phoenix player very similarly, and there's a call made. How frustrating is that for you, Matt, when you're watching a match? And I mean, you can go back and look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. They're very similar in what happens. Both of it is running through a player in the back. Just one team gets a call, one team doesn't. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, I definitely had a feeling during this, at definitely multiple points during the second half, that it felt like he was making up for the call for the red throughout the second half. It really seemed like he really started calling every little. I mean, yelled at my monitor at least 3 times of like, a little expletive when he called certain things on us. And I was like, are you like, that's so ticky tack. That's like, how are you calling that? And then a very similar foul happens with Phoenix and he doesn't make the call. So yeah, I was definitely getting to a point where I was like, man, it really feels like you're, it's maybe some makeup calls happening here or something. When Larry posted some of the stats of the fouls, and I'm like, that game, if you watched that game and you like saw the balance of, without looking at the ref blowing his whistle, you would have thought that the game was pretty even with the fouls and just they're both teams were going pretty hard. It was a physical game. The fact that we had almost or more than twice as many fouls called on us than they did, that to me is crazy. I think earlier in the game, like I was glad at how he was reffing because it really seemed like they were just disrupting every single time we were in the midfield. They would just foul. And I was like, okay, good. Like you're whipping up the card. You're giving them a little warning of stop that. I see what you're doing. You're disrupting every single, promising attack that they start. But then it just really seemed like he started calling nothing for them and everything for us after the red. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of makeup calls, but I do understand sometimes.
It happens in sports, right? I mean, anyone that watches professional sports, college sports, even youth sports, you see it. I think it's human nature on some of that, which, whatever. Let's talk about this, Brad. Let's talk about some debuts for Orange County. The big one, obviously, was the newest defender, Garrison Tubbs, joining Orange County on loan from DC United. Made his debut with the club in the second half and did not last long after 2 yellow cards. The first one on a hard tackle that took the Phoenix player off at both his feet, flipping in the air a little bit. And the second yellow was a challenge from behind that took out the Phoenix player. What are your thoughts on Tubbs' debut? And this is a player coming from MLS, so there's probably a little bit more higher expectations for a player that is coming from the MLS level. What are your thoughts? Is that something Tubbs needs to do better or do less of? I guess I don't know.
I can go ahead and take that answer first. Definitely think Tubbs was a little unlucky. Got himself into situations he probably shouldn't have. But with that said, definitely gave Kevin Partida-esque impressions on my end. Hopefully, he's able to improve. But it was a pretty poor opportunity, first go for Tubbs. If we do grades like we typically do with other games, I'm happy to give, but I don't want to just like throw players under the bus so early in the season.
No, I get it, Brad. I get it. Matt, let's play the opposite end here, right? Is Tubbs' second yellow card, is that him basically taking a tactical team yellow card? Because if not taking that, you potentially have a very dangerous breakaway or at least a dangerous opportunity for Phoenix to get a goal on the counter. I mean, can you see it that way? Does that make sense? And if that's the case, do you say, well, it is what it is, let's move on, it's not that bad?
Yeah, I was kind of torn on it. I'm trying, like, I do think obviously you don't want to red on your debut, but it was one of those games where, especially being up a man, being down a goal for so long, you're desperate, you're pushing people forward. He definitely makes a mistake. He shouldn't really have needed to commit that foul. That wasn't like, oh, like they had a good move, we're outnumbered here, I'm just going to take the yellow card and walk off the field. I think he kind of made a mistake that led to that happening, but it's one of those things. It's first game there. He arrived like that day or a couple days before. Who knows kind of what his preseason has looked like or any of those things. So I give him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see kind of after a couple weeks how he looks.
I love it. We're in mid-season form because that's exactly where my thoughts were when I was like trying to or evaluate the match after the fact, after watching it. Is you have a player like Tubbs who he was just announced a couple days ago. Who knows if he's been training with the club as sort of a get in here, train and see, do we want to do this loan? Obviously he's on an MLS contract, so that's probably not the case. He probably comes on a loan and jumps right in, and he's basically being thrown into the fire. Who knows what kind of prep he had with DC United, and who knows, the sort of tactical what he's picked up on the tactics with Orange County in the couple of days he's training with them. So those mistakes can be expected. And this is where, again, I was presented with the idea that this was such a horrific match for Orange County, that they played horribly, and it they look like disorganized. We've got to remember that there are a lot of new pieces. Even though we had a record number of returning players, there's a lot of new pieces. And you look at even the starting lineup, Liam McKinnon, even though he is a returning player, he did not play many games last season. He's sort of this new piece that you're still trying to figure out. You're still trying to get the chemistry built in there. You have Jameer Johnson, who's a 17-year-old with tons of talent. He's probably going to move on to bigger and better things at some point, but he's still a new piece, a young player. You're going to have you have the double whammy there, right? You have a new player that is still trying to figure out his place on this team, and you have a 17-year-old that is playing with grown men out there that you're going to expect a 17-year-old to make 17-year-old mistakes, regardless of how talented they are and their skills and whatnot. So, and then coming off the bench, there were a lot of pieces, there are the other players that, Tubbs and Bunbury and a few other things that we have here. So we're going to get there. I have faith in this team to get there. I'm not saying I have faith that this team is 100% going to win the championship, but they're going to be competitive. They're going to probably play well enough to make the playoffs and hopefully make a deep run to the playoffs, maybe lift a cup. But I just want people that are already freaking out at 2 games in that we only have 2 points, or chill. That's my thought. And Brad, Matt, you're welcome to call me out on that and say that that's the dumbest mentality to have, or you can agree with me. What do you want, Matt? It looks like you might want to say something.
I agree. I have 2 kind of ranty things I wanted to get into. One, the obsession with shots on target. I agree. We should have had more. We had 1 goal that was called off. We had 1 gilt edge chance that isn't classified a shot on goal, but Jameer can bury that, half the time. We have that, I think, the highlights we're playing earlier, the header that goes just over the bar. We created some chances. Maybe they weren't shots on target, and I definitely agree we should be shooting a little more, even if it's not the perfect shot. And that leads into my second thing, which is like something I'd love to talk to Danny about if next time he's on, or a conversation. Because I see it with Chelsea, I see it with other teams. A lot of teams deal with this, where you do this like U-shaped, get the ball to the left wing, go back to the midfield, go back to the right wing, and you do this like thing back and forth, trying to figure out like the perfect pass. Now, I understand when you're up a man, that's a little more tempting to do because you're trying to tire him out, whatever. But man, it can be so frustrating when they just keep doing it. I think we went through a spell of like 3 minutes where we literally just kept going back and forth. And it's like, at some point, man, just put a ball in, do an overlap, do something. It just felt like they would just get to the left wing, realize he's marked up, go back to the right back, go back to the, to Partita, go to Kelly, go to, Jameer, rinse and repeat. And I don't know. I'm like, how do you coach that? I really don't know, because I can see a lot of teams do it, especially when a team is sitting in a low block, like Phoenix was being down a man. And I just don't know what you do about it other than just have a go, or put a cross in, or try to beat a man, or do an overlap, something. And it just felt like we just kept doing the back and forth with no attempt on something, and that's something that can be so frustrating to watch. And I think is what probably frustrated a lot of people on the Discord and fans, of like, do something, have a go, shoot.
Here, let me just jump in really quick, Brad. And this is me coming in as a former coach and watching sort of the tactical aspects of it. And I'm actually going to reference, because I see Brad's wearing an NHL jersey, right? What do you see from NHL teams when they're a player, the other team has a player in the penalty box? You're moving the puck around, waiting for a breakdown on the defense, someone to just sort of slightly get out of position, then you can capitalize on that. I believe when you see that from any soccer team, whether it's your Chelsea, whether it's Orange County or any other team, they're basically moving the ball around, just hoping someone falls asleep, gets out of position, forgets to mark up what they're supposed to be marking up, and you look for that. And maybe it happens and you don't capitalize, maybe you missed it, but I believe that's where you have, and that's what that tactic is. It's just you're trying to, it's almost like, right, when you get hypnotized, you're watching that like little clock swing back and forth. I'm just saying this is sort of the cartoon version of hypnosis, right? You're just waiting until someone just sort of gets lulled to sleep with the ball going back and around, and then now you're out of position because you sort of forgot what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's what's happening. It doesn't always work like we saw it. I mean, you said like 3 or 4 minutes of Orange County back and forth. Brad, your thoughts on this conversation?
Yeah, I believe you set that up perfectly for me because, comparing it to my beloved stick puck, because look, I agree with Matt here 100%. It's not necessarily the kicking the ball back and forth, trying to expose a part in the defense, but it's where on the field are you doing this? It's one thing if, it's past the midfield line, in hockey, it's the attacking zone. You're moving the puck around within the offensive third of the ice. In this case, in soccer, I know a lot of teams, including Orange County, like to play it out the back, like to try to expose that first attacker, get the team to expose themselves a little bit, move forward, spread the field. But, I got 2 issues with it. One, you're up a man, you have that extra space in the field anyways. There should always be a person open. 2, you're turning the ball over in that first third and giving Phoenix opportunities to score, get corners, or do something. There was a time in that second half. I know Matt also said he doesn't like the shots on target. I do a little. I think shots in general is better because, like he said, a shot on target, if something hits the post, it's not technically on target, which I think is silly, or just big chances in general. Phoenix had just as much, if not more, that second half up until Orange County's goal than Orange County had. And that says a lot, being a man up. The complete opposite thing, from the first week, we were talking at the beginning of the show. I think Orange County did exactly what they shouldn't have done in that game as well. Up a goal, even footing on men, but playing defensively. There's just not that offensive mindset or attacking mindset. In hockey, it's if you're up 3 goals, you look to get up a 4th goal. You look to take shots. You look to keep the puck, because at the end of the day, that's just what they do in that sport. Why aren't we looking for that, killer blow? Do we just not have the quality to do so? And I guess these are open-ended questions, but I love the players on this team, and I see Andy's pulling up the heat map, producer Andy's pulling up the heat map. I don't know which one's the attacking third, but I'm pretty sure it's the coldest part of the map for us in this game.
Yeah, and I think on that, I think that what you said actually is really kind of what I'm getting at too, is the U-shaped thing is fine. I think at this level, it's a little more dangerous because the quality of the player, you're a little more likely to misplace a pass. And what I was referencing earlier, that like 3-minute spell where we literally just did the U over and over again, it's not like, oh, well, after that 3 minutes, we put the ball in the box and had a chance or had a shot. We lost the ball because someone, I forget if it was like the left side, I think, tried to pass it into the midfield. They misplayed the pass. Now Phoenix is on the break. And that's kind of my thing, is like, I can see it at higher levels working a little better, just trying to tire them out, looking for the perfect pass. But at this level, it's kind of just like, dude, if you can just get 1 second to, take a touch to the right, just throw a cross in the box. Especially when we had Zubak and that on, it's like, just throw it in the mixer. That's my favorite saying in soccer. And just, at this level, just throw it in the mixer, man. You're gonna get something. It's gonna take a deflection off someone, whatever it might be. It'll go in every once in a while. You might as well give it a go. You're not scoring if you're passing backwards over and over again, which trust me, I'm always the one defending passing backwards. I want to be clear on that. But in this case, there was a point where I got so frustrated with like, just do something, try something.
Well, maybe Orange County could try something new, a little bit more attack-oriented, minded, whatever you want to call it, this coming weekend. We're going to talk about USL still. We'll get into the Open Cup later because they will have an old friend, hopefully returning. You never know. I mean, we all thought Kyle Scott was going to join us or visit us when Vegas was in town, and unfortunately he was at home injured. Hopefully that's not the same for former goalkeeping legend for Orange County. I call him a legend because the fans loved him. He had the greatest chant that you're ever going to hear from the sidelines made for him. Goalkeeper Colin Shutler. Matt's like, I don't know if that's the case, but what other chant have you ever heard that is SpongeBob Square?
I mean, I'm biased because I was part of the people that came up with it, but Dogman's song to me is the best. The Nightman Cometh is
nothing's ever
so
going
good.
to beat Colin Shutler's SpongeBob SquarePants themed chant. No one's
You're
ever
entitled
been
to your
able to convince me
opinion.
otherwise.
Matt, I think because neither one of us has kids.
Fair.
But Colin Shutler could be returning with his Colorado Springs Championship Soccer Stadium this coming Saturday as Orange County hosts Colorado Springs Switchbacks. Interesting potential match here. The Colorado Springs this past weekend beat Las Vegas Lights, who we drew even with. In the opener. What do we know about Colorado Springs? Do either of you know anything about Colorado Springs except for Colin Shutler? I'll ask Brad first.
Yeah, I mean, their team mostly remains the same. You have Hanya on the right, Corey Bennett up in the middle, and then Foster and Echeverria. Shutler being the major difference. He played one game and came off on the bench, and was on the bench in the opener for the team. What Colorado seems to be doing that works for them is they are not only creating a lot of chances, but have capitalized. They've played 3 games this year. They had their Open Cup match again today against Azteca FC. No idea where they're from. I'm assuming Colorado just based on the geography of how the tournament works. But they have shot the ball a lot. They had 10 shots in their opener, which isn't a lot, but most of those, only 2 of those were on target. But they created a bunch of chances that game. And then this past week against Vegas, they had, I believe it was 21 shots in that game. Good things happen, as we've always said on the show. Good things happen when you shoot the ball. If you're shooting the ball, it's very likely that you're going to score the ball. There's some Michael Scott quote about that. He quoted somebody named Wayne Gretzky.
What what is it? I declare bankruptcy? No, never mind. That's funny stuff. Sorry. I don't know where I am with this. We're recording this or we're doing this live show on St. Patty's night. So you can imagine I'm probably a few drinks in. Let's talk about this really quick. It's funny. I'm a few drinks in and this has probably been one of the greatest run shows so far. I don't want to let it get crazy. I want to give respect to Azteca FC because Brad's like, who knows where they're from? Probably somewhere in Colorado. They are from Denver. They are an amateur club based out of Denver. So I want to just give respect to a team that made it to the U.S. Open Cup. Matt, your thoughts on Colorado Springs comeback and I coming to town and the return of Colin Shutler, hopefully. I know we talked about this with Kyle Scott. Let me ask you this. Do we maybe wait till after the match and then hear Colin Shutler's chant after the match is over? As long as it's not like a 5-0 Colorado Springs victory?
Yeah, I mean, if we win and he's on our end, then I think on the whistle or shortly thereafter, I would expect Chuck to rail one, get one going. But yeah, I mean, depends. It depends on the result. But even with a loss, I don't know. If he comes over and like claps us or something, then sure.
This is one of the greatest goalkeepers, if not the greatest goalkeeper ever for Orange County Soccer Club. So,
time-wise, or
I'm just saying, like, just longevity stats.
Yeah.
What you have record book wise, he's one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever that wore the Orange County jersey.
I mean, I can't not give that to the one that won us a championship as the best, but I'll give him second. Yeah, I'm excited to see him back. He was somebody who I liked, but just I wasn't someone that made a huge point of coming over to us all the time, right? So it's fine.
Let me just ask you this, Matt, for those not familiar with this chant, it was, Chuck tends to be the leader and starts it. What happens when he's not around? Who starts it? Or do you guys not do the chant if he's not around? Well, at least in the past. Now we don't ever do it again, but.
Who did start? There was, I'm trying to remember who would typically start it. I don't know if
probably
Keith,
DK.
Nathan. Yeah, Keith or Nathan.
So there is a backup. There is an understudy.
Yeah. We would. Okay. Someone would do it.
Perfect.
Ray, I believe the word you're looking for is capo.
No, understudy. You know, you have the star, and then you have in Broadway, the understudy fills in when the star's out.
Yeah.
Come on, Brad.
Anyways, moving the conversation forward, I did have a question for both of you guys regarding this game. We've really gone off the rails here. Anyways, Matt, I'm going to start with you here. We've talked a lot tonight about, what's gone wrong in the first two games. I'm assuming with this upcoming game, our tactics probably aren't going to change much for the Colorado Springs game. But what would you change if you were manager, either personnel or tactics-wise, moving into this game based on what we've seen kind of so far 2 weeks into the season?
Personnel, that's a good question. I don't know that I would change much. I'd be curious to see what a Zubak and Liam partnership might look like. I think now's the time to experiment with that. So maybe something like that. Maybe change it up a little bit. Throw another body up there. See if they can play off each other well. So something maybe like that. And then just as far as tactic, whatever, it's tough to judge the Phoenix game. We're up a man. Things are going to be a little different. We're down a goal. So that changes how you do things. I think this team is probably going to excel more as a counterattacking team. And it's tough to do that when you're losing. So I think, and up a man. So I think I just want to keep it tight, try to hit them on the break. This team seems like they got some firepower. We're not going to go toe-to-toe with them, at least the way we've been playing, if we try to make it a back-and-forth game. So I think keep it tight, see if we can nick one. Maybe at that point we can kind of see where we go from there. I think the game plan for Vegas was fine. I think I just would have liked to have seen us push a little harder for a second. But I think like the tactical setup, or so to speak, on the Vegas game was probably how I would play this one as well. See how they play on the road. Maybe they overcommit a little bit.
I take it,
Ray,
Brad, you want me to
same
answer
question.
the same question?
Yep.
We're two matches into the season. Like I mentioned earlier when we were talking about, some of the people saying that it was a horrible match and that this team is struggling. I mean, we're two matches in the season. We're still trying to figure things out. I don't want to see many tactical changes right now because I don't see anything right now that is super concerning to me where I'm like, I know for sure that's not working. I feel like there's potential still in every aspect of it. Maybe the hard part is I think you're going to have people, followers, supporters, fans that are on the we want to win train. But you have to come to the mindset with this is Orange County is not a team that's going to do everything and anything just to win. They are trying to build a culture of not just winning, but giving young players the opportunity, developing young players, and being that model USL team to show the league, hey, you can win while still developing young players. The thing about that, right? Beginning of the season, the young players are young. 5 months later, they're not as young as they were when the season started, and they've now played 5 months at a high level of soccer. They've potentially grown. Not every player does it. Some players get there early in the season and they don't really get any better, or they don't do enough to show that they're progressing. But we've seen it with Orange County. You have players that have proven coming in young, untested pretty much at a high level, and you see the growth. And then what happens? We get to the end of the season. These young players are high contributors to Orange County Soccer Club in their chances in the playoffs and their chances for titles. So at this point of the season, I don't want to see much change because I want those young players to get the opportunities to prove, are they worth it to give the big minutes later on in the season? So, you have a player like Tyson Espy, Jameer Johnson, Pedro, we already know he has future plans that are beyond Orange County Soccer Club. So that's sort of not in this conversation, but there's 3 or 4 players that let's give them some opportunities now to see, are they going to be key pieces for us when it's time to decide, do these young players need big minutes when the matches are really do or die matches, whether it means we're fighting for playoff position in early August and we have to sort of go on a run of wins and, points and results, or we get into the playoffs as a higher seed and we're relying on some of these younger players because they've proven through the season that they can compete at this level. So right now, I don't want to see much of a change, just weekly tactical changes, maybe changing up the formation here and there just to sort of deal with what the opposition is giving. But I'm fine with it. I will live with the mistakes, especially from the youngsters at this point of the season, just because I want to see what they can do and grow from those mistakes. And are they worth it? Hopefully that answered your question.
I will slightly amend my answer before I shoot the question back to Brad, but I want to see Jameer on the left. That is something I have thought about the first couple of games and been kind of surprised because it seemed like in preseason and just from what I've seen about him, he seems to be good at cutting in from the left side. Curious to see what that looks like. Maybe that goal goes in if he's making that run from the left side. Brad, what about you?
Yeah, so my thought about this was I definitely think Hagar on the left-hand side there is not necessarily where I would want him. I think of both him and Partita as kind of true central mids or hold-up mids, while Stephen Kelly is someone that I'd like to see producing crossings. I've learned to like Stephen Kelly a lot more than when I originally when we first had him join the team. I had some less than pleasant words. I think he sends a really good crossing ball, really good set pieces, but I think he's a little sloppy in the midfield, and I'd like to see him a little bit on a winger position instead. Hagar and Partita are people that I believe just are more scrappy in that midfield that I'd like to see stay in the midfield and, really run the ball through those two guys. And then Dogman. I love Dogman so much, but I think he's struggled so far this season. So I'd like to see a little bit more out of him, getting the ball up a little bit better. Because I just don't like seeing all of our, mistakes coming out of the back. Beyond that, I agree with Ray. I don't think we should be changing around personnel too hastily right now. And then also, I don't know what Mo War is doing there on the right winger, but I think of him more of an attacking option as well, probably in the role that Jameer Johnson's currently playing.
Let's get to this before we move on. I do want to get predictions for this match against Colorado Springs. Brad, your prediction against Colorado Springs scoreline.
I'm going to say 2-1 Colorado Springs.
Matt, your thoughts?
Let's just keep it going. 1-1.
Just keep going with the draws. Let's just draw the whole season. I'm going to go 2-0 Orange County in this match. I'm hoping for a shutout for the team and a couple of goals and get the ball rolling for that. Like I said earlier, this was all USL talk. Now we're going to move on because Orange County has a match this coming tomorrow on Wednesday. Open Cup match tomorrow as we're recording this. If you're listening to this on podcast form, we're probably releasing this. It's today. But they are hosting a local club, and it's a OC Derby for Orange County as they face Laguna United FC, who are making their appearance here in the Open Cup. I believe the second appearance for Laguna United. Last year, they ended up getting knocked out by Ventura County. We have their coach, Sam Nicholson, joining us to talk about this club because I'll be honest, we don't know much about Laguna United. I'm sure the world doesn't know much about Laguna United. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ray. Great to be on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and this is not the first time you've been on the show. You've been on in the past because we like to support local soccer. Right. Give us this. For those not in the know of Laguna United, what you guys are, who you guys are, just give the brief, 30-second pitch of what Laguna United is and what they mean to the community.
Sure. Thanks, Ray. Well, first of all, thanks for bringing me on. I really appreciate the support here. So we're Laguna United FC, so LUFC, really a small non-profit youth soccer club. We have our UPSL program, which is sort of a combination of players, of our best youth players, as well as some of our alumni that are coming back out of college seasons or trying to work out their next steps in their next phase of their careers, as well as a few other senior guys who are at the end of their careers, either coaching with us or just supporting those younger boys coming through. So, yeah, really, we're just a youth club of 60 teams based out of Laguna Niguel, California. Just one city, one club out of that, and we obviously offer recreational levels of play all the way through our youth teams playing across the SoCal local league, as well as EA, the League Academy, and MLS Next. So, yeah, that's the general gist of us, boys and girls, 8 through 18. That's our 60 teams that we have within the club. And then obviously with the UPSL program, adding that in as an additional sort of offer an opportunity for our top players coming through the youth ranks, and then obviously the alumni players I'm talking about, as well as some of the senior guys.
And this is the second consecutive season that the team is playing in the Open Cup. What does it mean for a smaller level organization like Laguna United to get this opportunity? And what are y'all hoping to get out of this opportunity the second time around?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for us. We had a great experience last year, regardless of the results. But it was great getting there. The run was fantastic, and then even the support and going out and playing a professional club for our younger players to see and experience was huge. So this time around, obviously, it being a local derby, it means certainly a lot more. I say local derby, it's not so much in the sense of a competitive one necessarily, but being so local to us, and obviously we have families and players who are season tickets at OCSC. It's on our doorstep. We think we sold over 600 tickets just in terms of club players alone, youth players alone, and I know there's an extension of other families and LUFC supporters or personnel who are with us that will be there as well. So we're expecting a good turnout. We're expecting some local support, which is huge. There's a little bit of history, obviously, between us and OCSC as well. There's a couple of players that have been through our program who are at OCSC or have been with OCSC in the past. So there's a great collaboration and relationship there too as well. As well as we regularly play OCSC's reserves or OCSC 2, usually this time every year as well. So huge for our community, huge for our player pool, huge for our organisation. We're general supporters ourselves of the club of OCSC, so it's massive for us, and it'll be exciting to see how we compete on tomorrow, and as well as see one of our former players. So we're excited.
Yeah, and I will say I was at the match that you all participated in last year out in Carson, and there was a good turnout for these LUFC families, and there was 6-year-old kids out there in Carson on a weeknight, staying out till 10 at night. So I mean, there's commitment for some of these kids that are committed to the LUFC colors and badge. Being that it's a little bit closer to home, you mentioned 600 fans so far that have committed to coming. Are you trying to call out the OCSC fans that, hey, we're trying to take over the stadium?
Exactly. No, I think we've got a couple of sections that are already sold out, which is great. Obviously, the more the merrier. It'll be fantastic. But it's also great exposure for our families to see what's local of us as well, right? I mean, OCSC is our local professional team. So, we're all about that support and obviously the growth of that and what that does just at the youth level, expanding that and expanding excitement around even just professional soccer in Orange County, professional soccer in general. It's just massive for our youth players to see and draw to. So, I think from many facets, it's an exciting one. But yeah, sure. Let's see how many fans you guys can get, and we'll see how many fans we can get.
I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt. He has a question or two for you, I believe. Matt, you're muted.
I unmuted and then muted myself as I was making fun of you for being muted. So for those who don't know, I think I'm familiar with one or two, but can you go through some of the players who may have kind of come through you guys and come to us, or that have played for kind of both teams that you're aware of?
Yeah, the big one right now is Tyson SB.
You're kind of breaking up a little bit. You turn off the video. That might help a little bit.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so Tyson SB obviously being was with us from 5 years up through 10 years. Very close to the club. Obviously, player to us and player to Orange County.
You're breaking up again a little bit, Sam.
With us for with me. Sorry.
I think we're having a little bit of technical issues. I was trying to share with my fellow co-hosts that I do know in and around Laguna Niguel, sometimes there's some spotty service for some of this. So we're going to see if we can get Sam back with a better connection here. So bear with us one moment. I do like your question there, Matt. Obviously, the one that we all are aware of at this point is Tyson Espy. He's currently with the club. He came out through the ranks. He actually was coached by Sam when he was with Laguna United. I believe he was there, I want to say, till he was roughly 11 or 12. But Sam, if we can get a better connection with him, we'll be able to confirm that. But this is where we look at the opportunity, right? You look at these amateur club programs that are local. If you could build some decent relationships with them, you might be able to scout some of these players early on at a very young age. And there's the nice thing is in Orange County, there's plenty of options to find some very quality young players at a young level. What are your thoughts on all of that, Matt? And we're trying to get Sam back on. Hopefully we make it work. If not, I mean, we totally understand technology sometimes doesn't cooperate. But Matt, your thoughts on the youth soccer program like Laguna United and providing a pathway for some of these players?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to be, right? For the USL, or for kind of another level above us, is trying to be that kind of pathway to players to, come up through not just playing like AYSO and maybe some club and then going to high school and stuff, giving them a pathway to really develop as young kids all the way through high school and playing kind of more proper club where you're playing against, a better crop of players than maybe your local high school league or something like that. So, kind of reminds me back to what Tom said, I think, on our podcast last week, where he's saying like the way you get your academies and your young players to the next level, I think just generally for the US soccer in general, is having players play against better players, trying to raise that bar up and up. And I think they're kind of the grassroots, level of that, of, let's get these players playing week in, week out through the whole year, and developing their skills rather than, the seasonal thing you see with high school or some of these other things. So yeah, I love to see the kind of grassroots academy level type of thing with these players.
And it looks like we do have Sam back on. Hopefully we got a little bit of a stronger connection here, Sam. We were just talking, again, about some of these young players that have come up through LUFC into Orange County. Obviously, the current main star of that is Tyson Espy. But we were just talking about how that all works out for OC, is to have some great connections through the youth levels. What are some of these other players, or what are your thoughts on some of these players that have come through LUFC and made their way onto OC's roster in the past or in the present?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, obviously Tyson's a really exciting prospect, and we're very proud of what he's done. His family is super close to the club still. I know they're huge supporters of still what we do. And I was speaking to Ty yesterday, actually, via text, trying to get him going for tomorrow. So it's fantastic. And obviously that just paving the way for what could be for so many young players to come through our program. And it's not every, Tyson's a one-off, and he's the 1% or less than the 1%. If you like, but even just players going past into the high school careers, and then even on through the college programs and into college as well. We've had a lot of success with our players going that direction. So it's fantastic that our young players, and even, there's players on the roster actually tomorrow that grew up playing with Tyson, 4 of which actually played on youth teams with Tyson at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it's going to be a special moment for them, special moment for our club, I think for Ty too, and then even just what that means for so many young players ahead. And so no, it's exciting, and it's something certainly that we're trying to achieve for our players in terms of what's next for them as they progress through those ages, through the young ages, and through the levels of play.
Yeah, let me hand it off to Brad here, because I think he has a question or two for you as well.
Yeah, welcome aboard the show. One of the questions that I had, and it goes very closely with the Tyson Espy question, but when do you, or how do you guys know when a player is, above and beyond different, and you can say like, oh, they might be the next, Kobe Henry, Tyson Espy, Jameer Johnson, so on and so forth?
Yeah, there's so many different phases of development, right? As players mature. I remember with Ty, actually, I'm at the field right now, at the field that I first met Tyson on a Friday at a clinic that we had. He was wearing his Liverpool jersey. I still remember the day I met him. and he came out. And for him, it was just how dynamic and how comfortable on the ball he was, and then how engaged he was, how coachable he was already at such a young age. He had some great support behind him, and he progressed so well through the years, and obviously as he went through LAFC and the different pathways that players can kind of take as they progress. So I think, in direct answer to your question, it's tough to really know. It's tough to you can't necessarily tell a 5-year-old or tell with a player at 5 years old if they're going to be that next great thing. But there are definitely sort of I won't say benchmarks, but definitely different stages of their maturity that you can sort of start to really monitor and evaluate, and start to wonder if players are going to reach that. Obviously, they have the technical components, the physical components, maturation naturally, and then even just how they, mentally, and how they are with the support system too, and just how they continue to sort of drive through and put that extra mile in, or the extra effort in too, which are all the things that if I look back at Tyson, he did. So certainly different elements that come to it, but I've seen players from Tyson where he started so young, and then other players too who really matured late, like Yusuf Farah was one who was at OCSC on the second team, was training with the first team for the longest time. He's the opposite example of Tyson, where he really just turned it on at 16 through 19, got an opportunity late, and then sort of progressed from there. So I'll just say to families or to young players coming through that there's not one given route, but I certainly think that there are elements that come together that when you look and compare players, they draw to similar comparisons eventually.
All right, I got one more for you. What is like the number one piece of advice you would give to a kid that's looking to develop? Like, what would be the one thing you'd tell kids, work on this and you'll have a better shot, or you'll be easier to play on the field?
Yeah, I think technically, to be honest with you, I think always, it's not a sport that you can just go in and out of. It's not a seasonal sport, and I think I heard the end of one of your conversations there talking about like the periodized sort of seasons of play or whatnot. It's really not a 3-month season you can play, or a 4-month high school season, right? You've got to be playing consistently. You've got to be enjoying the game and wanting to train and play. Physically, you don't know how an individual is going to mature. I mean, individuals and players can mature from 16 through 19 or earlier, and you just don't know. You don't know what kind of profile of a player necessarily you get. Obviously, there is data and there is science out there now that could give you an idea. But I think for players, in terms of what you can control and what players can progress and develop within, is just their technical ability, and trying to enjoy and learn the game with that. So my encouragement there would always be the technical side of the game, enjoying being comfortable on the ball, and then just sort of developing and taking the phases of maturity and the phases of opportunity and disappointment and all of those other side elements outside of it, taking that in stride. But it was always be, enjoying the ball at your feet, encouragement to play, and encouragement to technically develop, because that becomes a habit, and I think those habits start at a young age.
Thanks, Coach. Perfect. I'll go ahead and pass it back off to Ray, who I believe has one more question.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, one last question. Hopefully the connection will stay stable for this. I just want to know, because again, we don't know much about LUFC. Who are the couple, 2 or 3 players that fans that are not aware of the club, who should they be looking out, watching tomorrow to maybe see something spectacular or see something great? Oh, and I think we've lost the connection at this point. The connection isn't working great. Here's what we'll do. We're gonna wrap this thing up. We'll definitely see about maybe having Sam on in the future if the hopefully maybe if the club moves on. I don't know, with Orange County's performances sometimes in the cup, you never know what'll happen there. But I do want to thank Sam for taking some time out. For those that didn't know, his team is obviously there's a match tomorrow. His team is doing their final preparation for the match tomorrow, and he took a few minutes out of his time to come talk to us while they're wrapping up training. So we appreciate that from Sam Nicholson, Laguna United FC. I've talked about in the past, my son plays in that organization, and he has developed tremendously in his time playing under Laguna United from where he was when I was coaching him to where he is now, totally different player. So props to that organization. And, other than them playing Orange County Soccer Club, best of luck to them in the Open Cup if they somehow, some way make it past us, which again, with the way we've performed in the past, you never know.
Best of luck to them in the UPSL. We'll say that.
Hey, you know what? It is what it is, right? And again, it's great to have these young, these lower level organizations that Orange County can look to find some diamonds in the rough potentially, like a Tyson Espy. With that said, we got to get quick predictions for this match. Open Cup. It's Orange County hosting the amateur side, Laguna United. I've joked a couple times already with Orange County's performances in past cups. You never know what's going to happen. If we can recall 5-6 years ago when Orange County FC was there and it went to PKs and they ended up knocking us out, which was such a frustrating evening. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but you never know. Matt, predictions in this match.
We're due to
make a deep run.
No, but at least put a good beating on a team that we should be beating pretty well. So sorry, Sam, if you're still listening, I'm gonna say like 6-1.
To set the stage, right? They're at the same level as Capo FC, who we recently played in the Open Cup and we got through that pretty comfortably. Just so everyone knows, but again, you never know. Brad, prediction.
I'm not as confident as a 6-goal game, but I will say, a pretty comfortable 3-1 game.
I'm going to go 4-2. No, 4-1 Orange County. Really quick, let's wrap things up on this episode. I'm either going to give you the option. Do you have a random thought or what did you learn in this episode, Matt? Go for it.
So it was a tough day for me. Okay. I hope it's the same for you tomorrow. Also,
you're
going down.
It was last week, Matt, so it doesn't matter at this point.
I made fun of you last week, and then we matched your results, so
Brad.
I was very confused for like 3 seconds there. Happy St. Patty's Day. I don't quite understand the holiday, but it's not for me to understand. It's just for me to know people like drinking, and remember, they're not Irish car bombs. That is an offensive thing to say to an Irish person.
All right. I'm going to go with what did I learn? I learned that Matt and Brad both would love Orange County to install a Ange Ball tactics philosophy with the club because they want nonstop action, goal. Who cares how many we give up? Let's just score. And that'll be fun for the fans.
Did I say I want to lose every game?
I don't remember. Y'all were talking about you didn't like the boringness of the passing around.
I don't want to be pointing out and saying like do something like that little like stick man meme.
So you want Ange Ball?
Sure. I want something. I want mistakes to not happen in the first third of the field.
All right, I got producer Andy yelling in my ear that we got to wrap things up. So we're going to wrap things up here. I want to thank everyone participating in this episode, including my co-host Matt, Brad, producer Andy, our guest for the night, Sam Nicholson, Laguna United FC, who will be taking on Orange County Soccer Club this tomorrow. Or if you're listening on the podcast, probably today, if you're listening when we release this. Also, everyone that was live on the chat, thank you for doing so. Hey, hopefully Orange County gets 2 victories by the next time we speak to you. Hopefully. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. We are out.